one of the strengths of the website is that it gives you an opportunity to really stay in touch with some of the things that I'm involved with, where I'm traveling, how to get me to come to your city, and to promote the books that I have. I have 2 books, and I have a number of CDs and products and that. So just go to yeyefini.com, and you will be able to find me, or you can also email me at yeyefini@bellsouth.net. And Yeyefini is spelled Yeye, F like Francis, I, N like Norma, I, at bellsouth.net. So thank you again, Osaremi.
All right. So I want you to go ahead and give us an introduction into this topic that we have tonight, spirituality and finance.
Okay. Well, the first thing I wanted to say is that, we don't usually talk about finances and spirituality in the same breath, and we have to because it's part of who we are and our reality and the things that we have much interact with and amass while we are on earth. And so tonight I wanted to talk about the power of financial wealth and how to attain it with balancing your spirituality, how to make sure that you are a good steward of money, making sure that the kind of relationship that you have with money is something that you treat dearly, or something that you love, and what kind of relationship you have from your family. What is the family relation? What is your family history as to your finances? And then when we look at it from a spiritual perspective, what is your expectation when you are in a spiritual journey? What is your relationship that you have with money or wealth, and what is wealth? Your financial wealth should be an expression of your spiritual wealth. And so those are the types of things that I wanted to talk about tonight and share with you the power of abundance and the power of the spirit and amassing it, and exactly how do you feel when you lack. Do you get afraid or do you become open? What are the energies that we recognize as abundance or wealth or finance, and how can we amass it? So those are the type of things that I will be talking about.
Okay, wonderful. So tell us how spirituality and wealth comes together, and how should we look at it from an African perspective?
Well, the first thing that I would like to say is I need to give a little bit background on myself in terms of finances, and that may be able to people to be able to connect it, because when I grew up, I grew up in a household that we struggled. And when we are speaking on this OORadio, so coming from an Afrocentric perspective, as an African, the experience that we have is one, and usually have, if we are not struggling now, our parents were struggling, or our great-grandparents were struggling, because the system that we came to know as our community was one that we started from nothing. The majority of us have a direct inheritance of lack, that we started with nothing, coming from Africa. And so it's always been taking what the dreams that you have and make it manifest. And so I come from a background of struggling, coming from another country, and starting from actually none. My parents were hard workers and struggle, and so my reality has been and had been for a while, and I still have to remind myself that this is not my reality, but their reality, but I come from that type of thing. And so the relationship that I had with money or with wealth was that you have to struggle. You should struggle, and if you struggle hard, you will make it one day. And the struggle that you're having is based on sometimes the other side of that struggle is fear. And so with fear, you have limitation and you have lack. And so you keep telling yourself that this is the best that you can, and this is the last money you're holding on to, and this is the relationship that you have with it is one that every time you think of it, you have to try to take from the nothing to make a something. And so with it for years, for many years before I was successful at what I consider myself as successful in life, is that I didn't recognize that struggle is not really understanding God. Because when you understand that abundance is the universe, abundance is God, because the energy of the world is always giving. Even if you don't plant a seed will grow. The grass, those of us that have lawns, you have to mow it because it's always coming up. And those of us that have weeds in your garden, you have to pluck them up because they just come up, because that is what life is. Is the earth is there, water replenishes, the birds travel with the seeds, and they make this continual cycle of abundance. And so when we are in a spiritual understanding, we think that abundance, not that we think, but we have to really connect to the fact that we have the power to be abundant. We have this direct abundance. And so if we look at Olodumare or God or whoever you're going to call, the big one, the spirit, the energy, if we call that abundance, can you imagine? Just close your eyes now and instead of calling it a name, call it abundance. It has a different dynamic because it makes you know that it has a different dynamic because it's telling you that everything that you want is possible. Everything that you want is possible. And a lot of the things that keep us in a state of fear about abundance and financial wealth is not having self-worth or self-value or self-care, thinking that you're not worthy, or self-love, or forgiveness and self-acceptance. And when you have those things in place, then you know that you can be abundant. When you have those things nurturing your spirit, you know you can do the impossible. It's like a child knows that they can do anything. There's no limitation until they fall, and then they become afraid and they become timid because there are boundaries. But if you know that your creator or your energy, the source that connects you to breath, is called abundance, then you can do whatever it is that you want to do. You have to be able to understand it. The energy of abundance for me is the energy that I call love and Olodumare and the Supreme Being and the ever-flowing. And you have to come in alignment with that. You have the ability to create your reality. And we are co-creators because Olodumare, the energy of Olodumare is that whatever you put together with the energy of the Creator will manifest. And so we are co-creating with Olodumare. Just as in the beginning when Olodumare decided, when abundance decided, I want to make something physical. It decided to make vegetables and plants, and it made people, so for us to continue is to continue the work of God, is to keep creating. And so that's what I wanted to start with, was just saying that we have to connect to the ability that all of us have the potential to be, to have all the abundance that we need and to be successful in our lives. And so when we're looking at spirituality, we don't think that, we're just going to pray and hope that it's going to manifest itself. You have to have a plan. Just as when Olodumare created human beings, they didn't put your nose in your behind or your fingertips in your toe. There was a plan. There was a plan for the pituitary gland. There was a gland for the breast. There was a plan for where the breast would go and what would be the purpose. And there was a plan for what the eyes would do. And so you have to have a plan. So if you are connecting to this great source named abundance, you have to have a plan. You have to have some order. And so in it, I think that if we follow these three little tools, and I have them here written so that we'll be able to kind of connect to them like a formula, is information, inspiration, and implementation. Those are the tools that we need to connect to abundance, is information, inspiration, and implementation.
Okay, let me ask you this, because I want to go on I see where you're going with this, but I want to kind of go on the other side and kind of play devil's advocate a little bit, and then we'll go back over to where you're going with the conversation. But I want to do this because I think it needs to be talked about. Talking about in certain instances, having conversations with people and things like that, I kind of worry that some people feel that they can't afford this religion, and that it's become a little bit too commercialized. So how would you explain that, or how would you go about, having that balance between people being greedy, charging, someone $20,000, $30,000 to get initiated, versus someone, charging, $5,000 or $10,000? How do we not allow greed to take over what we're trying to do and everything? Because I'm one of those kind of people, I'll be like, man, if I could just make, just X amount of money every month, I will be okay. I will be able to afford all my bills. I'll be able to take care of myself, and I'll have a little bit set aside to do X, Y, and Z. How do we do that without being, and then sometimes people point out, she said, well, don't say that, because somebody gave me the example. They was like, I said that if I made X amount of money, now I'm making X amount of money, but I have X amount of bills now, because more things come up. When you make more money, more things come up and everything. So you have to not just put a limit on there, just say, you need to be able to take care of yourself. You want to be able to take care of yourself. You want to be able to do X, Y, and Z. So how do we not be greedy, but at the same time get what we need out of what we're doing?
Okay, I was going there, but at first I wanted to give some, and the information that you're asking and the inspiration is all tied into what is your value system. What do you think is important, and how do you think is important? If you're going to get initiated, I'm going to go exactly where you took me. If you're going to go to a place where your initiation costs $6,000, did you say $6,000? No, you said $10,000 or $12,000, whatever it is that the mark was. Do you have enough information about what it is that you're going to receive? Do you have enough information of what the training that you're going to get, the value of it? Do you have enough information on how is it that you're going to make it and not do it to the extreme where you're going to deprive yourself of having your lights on, but you made priesthood? Do you have enough information of exactly what is the requirement for it? What is the information? Are you asking the right questions? Are you checking the people that are you doing your background check? Is this a ripoff, or is it something that is going to be something that you can live with? And that's the information part. The inspiration part of it is if you are inspired that you know that this is exactly what you require, what you need, and you have made your check around to see if this is the $12,000 initiation that you need, then it's obviously tied up to your own spirit that's what you're going to require. But you have to do your background check. You cannot. We can't have a formula that says all initiation should be $3,000 or initiation, because you don't know what is required. You have people that are initiating right now and not training at all, and you have people that are initiating and charging a lot of money and doing the work of training them. That when they graduate, they know 100 herbs. That they know what each the signs of and what they look like, and then at the graduation they know how to go out and pick X amount of. So you have to. It's kind of like balancing off what it is the value that you're paying for, and what is it worth. And then the implementation is that you need to decide if this is what you want to do. If you want to do this, and this is the sacrifice that you want to pay for $12,000 initiation versus getting your information and knowing that this is the spirit of who it is or whatever it is that's going to initiate you, then you go ahead and put it in plan. Then you save your money and you put it away and you have some type of definite thing.